These are Reculver Towers, a striking landmark on the North Kent coast overlooking the Thames estuary and now also a popular tourist destination. But the towers also have a very long history with a dark edge. What we see today are the ruins of the old parish church of St Mary's. In its heyday in the medieval period, it would have been a spectacular building. Its twin towers, which were topped with spires, known as the Two Sisters, could be seen for miles around and for miles out at sea. Unfortunately, coastal erosion during the 17th and 18th centuries saw most of the village fall into the ocean. With the sea also growing dangerously close to the church, a proposal was made to build new sea defences to preserve the cliff on which the church stood. But in a stunning example of ecclesiastical vandalism, in 1809 the then vicar, Christopher Naylor, some say urged on by his equally Philistine mother, bullied the parish council into agreeing to the church's demolition and the construction of a replacement church at nearby Hilborough. The church was blown up with gunpowder. The lead from its roof sold for the equivalent of £77,000 at today's prices, and much of its stonework was used to build a harbour wall at Margate. In fact, the whole church would have probably vanished had it not been for the intervention of Trinity House, the organisation that looks after lighthouses, who purchased what was left of the church for £100 so they could preserve the two towers, which were an important navigational aid for shipping. You can still see the outline of the semicircular wall of the apse of the original church that was built on this site. This goes back 1350 years to the year AD 669, when Christianity was still struggling to establish itself in England among the pagan Anglo-Saxons. It was in that year that King Egbert of Kent granted a priest called Basser the land at Reculver on which to build a church. This would become the heart of a monastery which thrived for another 300 years until its monks were driven away by Viking raiders. But our story doesn't end here, or should I say start here, because before Basser's church, a Roman fort occupied this site, and today you can still see some of the ruins of the fort's outer walls. The northern half of the walls have long ago been washed away by the sea. The fort, called Regalbium, was one of the earliest forts built by the Romans after their invasion in the year AD 43. Why? Because what we now call Reculver stood at the northern end of a long since silted up sea lane called the Wantsum Channel, which separated the Isle of Thanet, in the days when it really was an island, from the rest of Kent and the English mainland. Here we're just coming up to what would have been the eastern gateway into the Roman fort. But what, you ask, about the darker side of the Reculver story? Archaeological digs around the site in the 1960s found 5 sets of infant remains, all of them babies, within the foundations and walls of the buildings, and all associated with datable Roman finds, such as coins. The babies were probably buried as sacrifices, known as foundation sacrifices, a once widespread practice among ancient peoples, in the belief the spirits of the dead would act as eternal guardians of the fort, and also their physical and spiritual foundation of the fort. There's even a theory the old nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady, refers to a foundation sacrifice, particularly the verse about setting a man to watch all night. What we don't know is if the Reculver babies were selected for burial because they were already dead, perhaps stillborn, or if they were buried alive or just killed for the purpose. The Romans, incidentally, believed this was a great honour. Whatever the circumstances of their deaths, a local legend has grown up that on dark winter's nights the grounds of the fort are haunted by the sound of a crying baby. So, Reculver Towers, a lost shrine to early Christendom, as it's been described, and now a romantic ruin. What else can I tell you about the place? That during World War II this area of the coast was used by the RAF to test their bouncing bombs before the dambusters raids on Nazi Germany. Once again the two sisters towers of the old church came in handy as a clear landmark for navigators in their Lancaster bombers. They were, I should hasten to add, using dummy bombs in these tests. And finally there is Auric Goldfinger, a villain in the James Bond story Goldfinger. In the original Ian Fleming novel, Goldfinger lives in a house in Reculver called The Grange, which also includes a secret factory from which he runs his international gold smuggling business. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button, drop a comment below, and support us by hitting that subscribe button. For more weird tales, visit our website www.urbanfantasies.com. Until next time, stay well, stay weird.